Hi, this is Joseph with Sci-Fi Graveyard, hosted by the Heart of Geek. Before we get started with tonight's episode, I know things are still crazy right now. I know a lot of people are still suffering with anxiety and depression. I am one of those people. And I just want you to know that there are people who care about you. There are people that love you, whether it be a suicide prevention hotline or your best friend or your family member. Please reach out to someone and talk to them. Know these three things. You are not crazy. You are not alone, and secrets do make you sicker. So please reach out and talk to someone. Again, please, we do care about you, and we want to make sure that everyone's safe and happy and healthy moving forward. Thank you. Hi, this is Joseph, the host and creator of Sci-Fi Graveyard, as hosted by the Heart of Geek. Is there a topic that you love to talk about? Would you love to share that topic with millions of listeners around the globe? If so, then you're almost there to starting your own podcast. The only thing you need is Anchor.fm. With Anchor.fm, you can record, edit, and publish your own podcast to the Anchor site and to popular podcasting sites around the world. So what are you waiting for? If you'd like to get started, all you need to do is head to the Play Store on Android or the App Store if you have an iPhone. Start the download and get recording today. Thank you for listening to Sci-Fi Graveyard, and on to the podcast.
What is time? Is it a predator? Is it a companion? What if you could go to a place where the predator had no teeth? What if that place could show you what you could have or had? Join us as two captains from two generations come together to boldly go. Hello and welcome to Sci-Fi Graveyard. This is Joseph Gettinger, joined with Stephen, Josh, and Jeremy. We are at the Heart of Geek. And tonight we're going to be talking about the seventh film in the Star Trek franchise, Star Trek Generations. The Star Trek Generations was the first film to feature the TNG cast. They kind of started filming it kind of as they were shooting, as they were the last Star Trek, All Good Things, Star Trek The Next Generation, All Good Things. And Star Trek Generations was released in 1994, and I'm just looking up the release date because I forgot to add that. But I do believe it was in November of 94. I remember that's when I saw it in theaters. And I'm not seeing it right off
November
the bat, so we'll
18th,
just say
1994.
There we go. So just some quick trivia, or I say quick, but there's a lot here. And then we'll discuss what we liked, what we didn't like about the movie. And this trivia is kind of jumping around because I just kind of got it from two sources. I got it from IMDb, and I got it from Memory Alpha, which I don't know if you all are familiar with Memory Alpha. Steven probably is. Memory Alpha is basically a website devoted to the Alpha canon or main canon of the Star Trek universe, all the way from Enterprise through the Next Generation, and probably now including Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard. Sorry. Throat's a little dry. So at the beginning of the movie, you all notice that there was a bottle of champagne floating through space, getting ready to strike the hull of the USS Enterprise, NCC 1701B. That bottle was Dom Perignon. So Dom Perignon still exists in the Star Trek universe as late as 2293, which is when the prologue of this movie takes place. It takes place the same year in Star Trek canon as Star Trek 6. So they actually, it's like a few months later or later that year. It marked, so this takes place after the United Federations and the Klingons signed the Khmer Accords. As we know from watching yesterday's Enterprise, it was still, the Klingons and the Federation were still working on their peace treaty. But the Enterprise A was retired in 2293, as well as the launch of the USS Enterprise. Now, the Enterprise B is an Excelsior-class vessel, which is named after the first in its class, which is the USS Excelsior, which made its debut in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and was seen in Star Trek VI. Now, this was the same model as that Excelsior, but if you notice that the model was modified, the model was modified to be like a variant of the Excelsior class, but it was mostly modified so when the Enterprise B was struck by the ribbon cable, which sends Kirk into the Nexus, it was done to not damage the main part of the Excelsior model. So that was literally why they made it look like the way they made it. Let's see here. So, as you know, in the movie, Kirk has a love interest named Antonia, and this was originally supposed to be Dr. Carol Marcus because this does take place in year 2282 when he's on the farm, and when I'm sorry, not 2282. Part of it does take place in 2282. That's when he's riding the horse from the farm when he meets her. The breakup is actually in 2284 to Captain Kirk, and that's when he's going back to Starfleet. So this takes place in between Star Trek The Motion Picture and Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan, which Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan takes place in 2285. And that could also tie into Kirk feeling old going into Star Trek II and feeling young by the end of that movie. Let's see here. And I'm just skipping around, so I do apologize. And all that information was from Memory Alpha, so that's where I got those dates and from. The main villain is Tolian Soran, played by Malcolm McDowell. He's actually got a link to Star Trek outside of Star Trek Generations. He is the maternal uncle of Alexander Siddig, who played Dr. Julian Bashir on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. This was the first movie to have a website created to promote it. The site was launched at generations.viacom.com on October 28th, 1994, 3 weeks before the release of the movie. Like I said, it was originally his love interest supposed to be Carol Marcus. However, Paramount was like, no, change it. It can't be Carol. And the holodeck scene where Worf is promoted to lieutenant commander after 7 years. It's not the only promotion he gets. If you noticed on the bridge, he actually has a seat in this movie, so he's not standing all those hours, hunched over the wooden railing of the tactical console. But however, in the holodeck scene, Troy, when she goes over to Picard, once Picard finds out about the loss of his brother Robert and nephew Rene, she gives the ship's helm to an elderly man. This is actually the captain of that sailing ship. The ship's name is actually the Lady Washington, and it's owned by the Grays Harbor Historical Seaport in Aberdeen, Washington, which was used in filming this scene. This also has a tie to Disney, as this was the ship portrayed the Interceptor in Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Well, okay.
So also, when Worf is dropped into the water and you see him climbing up the side of the ship, you notice that his knees are red. That's because they had painted the ship for the scene to turn it into the Enterprise, but the paint wasn't dry yet. So that's actually paint on his knees when he's climbing up and tries to catch Dr. Crusher. So if you notice also in the movie, they use the DS9 uniforms as well as the TNG uniforms. Only Patrick Stewart and Brent Spiner had custom DS9 style uniforms made for them. Jonathan Frakes is actually wearing Avery Brooks's DS9 uniform, and that's why his sleeves are rolled up, because the sleeves weren't long enough. And if you notice LeVar Burton is also wearing a DS9 uniform at some point, and you could tell he looks really frumpy in it, like it's too big. That's because he's wearing Colm Meaney's uniform, who played Chief O'Brien, and so you could tell that they don't fit right. And it's also why, and I probably just repeated myself, it's also why Riker's sleeves are rolled up.
Why in the hell didn't they have their own, like, that's weird how they would use other
Yeah, like,
I guess trying to save
time, to save money.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
save money.
It looks like it was more so time. They didn't have time to make
we don't have time for
that too. And they were actually going to create new uniforms that looked like an amalgam of the TOS and TNG uniforms, but if you find figures from this movie, you'll see Picard in that uniform, but they were scrapped at the last minute. And so they went. It was probably a time issue and a cost-cutting issue, to be honest with you. Kirk's, as we know, this is the movie made famous for killing Captain Kirk. And instead of dying on the bridge, a bridge landed on him. So Kirk died underneath a bridge. The original death scene was supposed to be where Kirk gets shot in the back by Soran. However, negative reactions to the test screenings caused them to reshoot it.
Yeah, I heard about that. Didn't you mention that in one of the other ones too, or something? I think that we were talking about.
I think I did. Yeah. If you notice, the Enterprise bridge looks different in this movie from the previous episode, which aired. Like, the show ended in June and this movie came out in November. So it was like maybe not even a 6-month gap between the show and the ending and the film beginning or premiering. But if you notice that the Enterprise bridge is different, the bridge was heavily inspired by the bridge from the episode Yesterday's Enterprise, where the ship was designed to be more of a battleship as opposed to a ship for exploration. And so they took a lot of those design elements and updated the bridge. And they also took some cues from the future Enterprise bridge from All Good Things as well in that design. So they incorporated a lot of things to make the bridge look nicer for a studio. The Enterprise model, the 6-foot one that they used in the show, had to be completely redone to stand up to the lighting of a movie. And as we know, this is also the movie where they destroyed the Enterprise D. They actually assumed at one point that the next Enterprise would still be a Galaxy-class starship as opposed to the Sovereign class we see in First Contact. So they actually took the studio model, made new markings with the registration number 1701E, and I thought you can actually see pictures of this online. But the producers wanted a new look for the ship. They probably wanted a new ship, mostly because they wanted a ship that looked film-friendly. And I think I read that in an interview with John Eves back in the day when First Contact was coming out. But the producers wanted a new look, and the ship was completely newly designed. The old Enterprise D, actually, someone owns it, and it was sold for just over $500,000.
Damn.
And the last bit of trivia I'm going to go into is the horse, the house, and the farm, all seen in this movie, actually were William Shatner's. He owned them. So
I'm not really surprised about that.
Yeah. I probably knew that at one point, but I forgot. And the only other thing to mention is when Data sings the song Lifeforms,
Yeah.
That's actually an ad-lib by Brent Spiner, so everyone's looks on their face is real. David, the director, kept it in because he was so amused with it. And that's actually all the trivia that I decided to use in this one. Sorry, I skipped around. Usually I try to order it a little bit better, or at least read it in order. But I decided to change things up, and I failed. But anyway, let's talk about Star Trek Generations. As we know, it was released in 1994. This is one of the ones we said previously I said previously, it feels kind of like an extended episode. Originally, they were going to have the whole TOS crew, and then it was going to be like McCoy and Spock and Kirk. But Leonard Nimoy didn't want to do it because the dialogue could be said by anyone, thus proving his point. It was all said by Scotty. This is actually when DeForest Kelley sadly was in super poor health and was unable to get insurance to be in the movie. So that's why Dr. McCoy was no longer in it. And he was, of course, replaced by Chekhov. Yeah. Beta Canon trivia for y'all. Sorry, I said I was done, but it just popped in my head while we're about to start the movie. In Beta Canon, Demora Sulu, who we meet on the bridge of the Enterprise B, she actually becomes captain of the Enterprise at some point. Just thought that was something interesting to know in the novels. She becomes captain when John Harriman leaves. But there's really no alpha canon to what happens to the Enterprise, so she was either destroyed or retired. Obviously, before the Enterprise C was launched, which was seen in Yesterday's Enterprise. So, who would like to go? Normally I go first, but who would like to go first and give what they liked about Star Trek Generations?
Well, I guess I will. But anyway, like my whole thing is that I've seen it. Like I think we mentioned this in one of the other podcasts. Oh, I think this was one of the first movies, other than Jurassic Park, that we watched multiple times in the theaters, or at least me and my dad, or well, our dad, whatever, all except for Joe's. But what's it called? But we watched it, I think, 3 or 4 times in the theater, and every time I enjoyed watching it. It's probably one of my, like, out of the Next Generation ones, probably this and First Contact are my favorite. So when I was rewatching it, it was like I remembered everything from it. Like, I was like not surprised, and yeah, it does feel like an extended episode, but like, I just love Data in this movie. It's like really sets him, like, it's hugely about him, it seems like, or at least most of the movies, it seemed like, at least with the emotion chip and stuff like that they explained in it. But yeah, like, I don't know, I just like this movie a lot anyway. So
I like this movie. When you said Data with the emotion trip, I just went. All I could think about was Mr. Tricorder. No, Geordi, I have not. Have you? No, I have not. It's
yeah, they had some funny moments in it. Like, that's the main thing. Like, it's funny. Like, even the joke where he sits there and he's like, "Oh shit, I finally got that punchline. I finally understand it now." And then he's like, "Huh?" And it was like, "Yeah, the story, the joke that you told like however long ago." Of course, because anybody would probably be in the right mind, be like, "What the hell? You're thinking about this way like now?
Yeah.
What the hell?"
Which was funny because he references the Farpoint mission, which was actually the first episode. Yeah. But you know what's funny? That joke wasn't in the episode.
Yeah, it was probably,
so they just added a joke
they told off.
Yeah, it must have been something that was told off screen because it was never in. It was never in the episode. I liked it. I liked it when every time. The only thing I don't like in the opening scene on the ship is when Data pushes Dr. Crusher in the water. Everyone's mad at him.
Yeah, I
think that shit's fucking hilarious.
I mean,
they're like,
I actually laughed when he did it, and then Geordi gave him a reaction that said that wasn't funny, and I'm like, no, actually, to me it was. I would have probably done the same thing in his situation.
Yeah,
it was funny because she said be spontaneous. What's more spontaneous than pushing her in the water?
Yeah. Especially when Worf fell in, and then they're like, "Why is that funny?" And it's like, "Oh, okay, I'll just bam."
Yeah,
and then it's like, "No, that's not cool, man."
I actually kind of like the humor in this movie. That a lot of people talk shit about the humor in Insurrection.
A lot of the jokes landed, like doing the lifeforms thing, and a bunch of the jokes that happened in the movie was funny, just because Data, like, especially a lot of them were from Data, or at least through him, because like it's like totally new to him, like doing all the emotions and stuff,
being like, I
like
actually understand jokes now. I can do things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, holy shit, what?
It was. I always thought they were funny, man. I like this movie. It does feel like an episode, but is that, like I said in Insurrection, is that really a bad thing though? It just, to me, like, First Contact's the only one that really feels like a movie. It doesn't feel like an episode. But it's also the only one that kind of stands out as far as, well, Nemesis does a little bit. But Insurrection and Generations feels like it's more character driven, where First Contact and Nemesis are action. Well, Nemesis is character too, but like, there's action in all the movies. But do you know what I'm saying, right? Like, First Contact was like kind of like a Star Trek the action movie. It was the first one, I think, to be PG-13. Where it feels like an episode because it's the characters. Data's discovering emotions and kind of like the BC plot. Picard's the thing with time. It deals with time because Picard is dealing with the loss of Renee and Robert. They were actually seen in the first episode of season 4, Family, which was Picard dealing with his aftermath of the Borg. And so that was a big loss for him. And now when he dies, there's no
and
more
of course,
Picard.
that's the temptation to stay
because
in
he's the last
and
of the league.
all that stuff. It's like theme, really good. Like a lot of the action is weird, and like stuff like that. But the main theme of the movie is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good theme. Like all the movies have really good themes. First Contact didn't really have a theme. It was more like shoot, shoot, bang, bang, or phaser,
or just showing like it was trying to get stuff going. Like if somebody was going to stop it, they had to make sure that everything came to pass.
It was pretty much the Borg,
basic time travel type mechanics.
Yeah, it was all about. I think it was more like actiony. It was supposed to be actiony than, like I said, character pieces, and I think that's what people miss when they talk about like these movies. They're more about the characters. Yeah, there was action and shooting and insurrection, but it was more about the people and what you're willing to do for immortality. Like we talked about with Admiral Daughtry sending Raffo to, and I'm using air quotes when I say this, escort the Enterprise back. It's the same thing here. This is all character driven. Like they try to give Picard action scenes, but he gets his ass kicked in every scene.
Practically that whole thing is him losing.
Is like Picard going to school, being taken to school by Malcolm McDowell, and that's why he has to go get Kirk because I love Picard. I mean, I'll be honest with you, my favorite captain's actually Benjamin Sisko from Deep Space Nine. But I like all the captains to an extent. Probably Archer's my least favorite. Janeway's low on the list only because it's not Kate Mulgrew, it's the writers. For Voyager, and that's another story for another day. They were so inconsistent with their character with her that she comes off as like bipolar or something, and so that's why she doesn't rank higher. I feel bad for Kate Mulgrew. I just wish they had given her more to work with. But like he had to go get Captain Kirk, who's chopping wood like a boss. In his 50, like it's before Star Trek 2, so he's about to technically turn 50. By this movie, he's in his technically when he was lost in the Nexus, it's 2293. He turns 50 in 2285. It's 8 years later, so he's pushing 60 at this point, and he's just going away. And Picard is technically younger. I think he's younger because Patrick Stewart was 48 when Star Trek started. And so this was 7 years later. So he's actually a couple years younger than Kirk is at this point, at least. But he gets beat by a scientist who's a listener because he's an Alorian. He's a race of listeners.
Basically, it highlighted the differences between Kirk and Picard, which I think was something that this movie really needed to do because, they're different. Like the original trilogy or the original series and the Next Generation are like so different, and you can do that by watching the shows. But this movie, a tone that says, no, this is different and sets the trajectory for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Because Picard's a diplomat. And he's not like what Spock said in the Unification two-parter perfectly describes Kirk, cowboy diplomacy. Because Kirk could be a smooth talker if he had to, because he had the charm and the charisma.
He'll kick your butt.
But push from the shove, and a lot of people don't know this about Kirk. He's supposed to be like a really skilled fighter. He's supposed to be really good at hand-to-hand combat, which is. He's a soldier because he talks about kind of being a soldier in the original series, because this is why I love Sisko so much. And this is off subject. Sisko is kind of like an amalgam of like Kirk and Picard. Sisko can be a diplomat and Sisko could kick your ass. And he's kind of like the best of both of them. And that's probably why I really love Avery Brooks. That and Avery Brooks is a madman and I love every minute of it. But, and I mean that with respect because I love Avery Brooks, but Generations I really do like this movie. There's not a lot I don't like. I mean, there's certain things I didn't like. but we'll talk about that in a minute. Steven, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about that you liked in it?
It did really well at setting the tone for the series. That's all I really had to say was it laid the groundwork for what was coming next. And were the next ones the greatest Star Trek movies? No, but it laid the groundwork for some interesting stuff. First Contact is my favorite of them, so I'm glad we're going to be able to talk about that in the next episode. But yeah, this was really interesting. I have some nitpicks, and I'll talk about those in the next thing when we talk about what we didn't like about the movie, but I'll hold off.
No, I hear you. I have some nitpicks too. I liked it. I think the story was good the whole time, which when I do the trailers, I try to incorporate the theme of the movie in the trailer. And to me, the theme of this one is time, because Soran talks about it. Picard kind of hints at it with his family dying. Data, time, not he's reached an impasse. He can't grow. And you could kind of relate that into time, because he has to put the emotion chip. The only I'll get into that, it's a nitpick, but he has to get the emotion chip in order to grow, which means to progress in time. He has to grow.
New, yeah.
Something new. And so, Jeremy, what did you like about this movie?
Well, unlike everybody else here, and I don't know if Steven had the same opinion, but I did not feel that it was like a long episode like I have the previous couple of movies, Insurrection and what was it, Nemesis, especially Nemesis. Insurrection literally didn't only feel like it looked like it. This movie, I did not feel that it was a long episode. I also felt that it didn't even look like a Star Trek episode, if that makes sense. Like the cinematography was not what you would deem Star Trek-y, I guess is the term that I would use. But being that I'm not a Trekkie, so far this was my favorite of the ones we've watched. There wasn't much that I didn't like. Besides, but we'll get into that in the next, I guess, section that we talk about. But
yeah,
I liked every single piece, pretty much most of this movie. I when we get to the nitpicking part, I don't know if I have that much, but you guys may cover the ones that I had, anyways. But no, but I'm just saying
even
that
if we share them, we can still talk about them.
I would have to think about things that I would nitpick, but one thing that I would say from my perspective is that I didn't feel that it seemed like a long episode like it seems like a lot of other people did. So, and then part of that maybe because I'm not a Trekkie, so I wouldn't notice things that people that watch it consistently would notice. So, anyways, but that's really all I have to say in terms of what I thought about the movie. I liked it in general. So
I feel you. The reason some of it, I can't speak for Josh and Steven, but the reason I say it feels like an episode, it's not the cinematography or the lighting. It's the story.
Like the scope of it?
For me anyway. It's like the scope of the story, not the cinematography. I think this movie looks amazing, and the set that was the stellar cartography set that was built for this movie, I love that freaking set. That set was really cool. That's like the coolest set in the movie, and every time but to me, it's just like the movie Star Trek, or the last two-parter, All Good Things, kind of felt more like a movie story, like story for a movie, than Generations did. But also in the same vein, I don't think you could get Captain Kirk to be on an episode of Star Trek for a two-parter. So, but to me, it's more of like the story
I was
the
just
story
saying that,
aspects of it.
from my perspective, and I remember watching the TV show and stuff like that, and I know watching it, there's just a look to Star Trek that I got especially Insurrection. Like I said, watching that movie, it looked like I was watching an episode of The Next Generation when I watched it back on TV. And the story was still, it wasn't movie-esque either. So, and that's where, I could say most of the, the movies are Star Trek-y in nature, right? In terms of the TV show, but the look of them, and that's where I come from, and like especially with the new ones, you see that big time. Like they don't look like an episode of Star Trek at all, and the story still could be deemed Star Trek-y, but they don't at all look like they would be on TV. So, and that could be the effects, and that could have been what started these off, right? Is that the special effects changed that a little bit, but Insurrection was made after this one, so really it was pretty much how it looked, right? So Frakes, I think, directed that one, so he obviously wanted it to look like that.
He probably did. I mean, he was the director. Honestly, I think they should have had Frakes direct Star Trek Nemesis. I think it would have been a better film, but because he directed First Contact, and First Contact doesn't look. It doesn't look like a
super
TV an
really
episode
cool.
at all.
We'll talk about that in the next episode.
We'll talk about the next episode.
Yeah, most of these,
the next
I don't
episode
even
is First
recall
Contact.
ever watching them. So this is like these last three, and First Contact, I'd have to watch it, but I probably have never actually watched any of them. So,
First Contact is the one that everyone says is like this. A lot of people say it's the second best. I can't choose between this and Wrath and Khan. That one and Wrath and Khan, I love them both, probably equally. But this one, to me, like I said, it only felt like an episode because of the story. Like it wasn't like this. It's not like it wasn't like this 2-hour epic, is what I'm trying to say. And even though like it was this important bridging of the passing of the torch, as they say, or passing the baton between the original series and Next Gen.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that with some of the
where my
nitpicks.
nitpick is.
But
if you guys don't bring it up. So,
all right. So we'll start with Josh since you started last time. What were some of your nitpicks, or what didn't you like?
I don't know. Picard seemed very weak in the fight compared. I mean, granted, they were trying to show like how he needed his help to pull this off, kind of, right? I get that, but that's my main nitpick is like that. Like he didn't really do anything. They beat his ass, and then the thing went off, and then they repeated stuff afterwards. Like right, like after he got Kirk and everything, that's when he did stuff. But like it was like he didn't really do much at all in this whole movie. And then so like that's the main thing for me. But I mean, I still like the movie and everything. So like that's like a minimal thing. But really, other than that, that's it.
All right, Steven, what were your nitpicks?
Is the fact that basically this movie was supposed to be like the passing of the torch from the original series to the Next Gen as far as the movies are concerned, but it seemed to only be a passing of the torch from captain to captain. So as you were talking about in the trivia, there was like reasons why they couldn't do like the whole crew passing of the torch type situation, but basically in my brain, like I have a whole idea of what the movie would freaking look like if they could do the passing of the torch situation. And that's why, like, I actually, while I was watching this, I started planning out, like, what that movie would look like. And now I'm actually going to have to make it into a video for the YouTube channel. So That's a thing that's going to happen.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Joe, but
I
you're saying, but how would they have done that without, because it was 78 years later, the only way they could have done it was to connect somebody.
Oh,
and
believe
ended up
me.
being-
You're going to have to watch the video to find out.
it was there.
Clickbait.
There was actually going to be there was originally going to be the whole crew, to be honest with you, but because Ronald D. Moore was one of the writers of this movie, and they actually had like
were they
a
gonna
bunch
have
of stuff
the whole,
that they were going to
Were
do.
they going to have the
but
whole
I think
crew get
they
wiped
were
into
going to.
Nexus then? I mean, because that was
No, it was, I don't. They never really went into detail what the plans were, but they stated that like they were going to have the whole crew, and it was going to be like kind of like a Kirk versus Picard type situation. I think they were going to have them face off against each other.
Have it be Enterprise versus Enterprise, crew versus crew, but they couldn't figure out a way to make it not seem dumb and make sense in the world.
Well, yeah,
both seem like bad guys. Yeah, because someone was going to have to be portrayed as the villain, and you can't do that with both crews. Well, it would have been a time travel story, like it kind of was, which is funny because the next movie also deals.
It's a great episode.
Yeah, I love that episode. Good God, we should do a Sci-Fi Graveyard on that episode and compare it to Voyager's 30th anniversary episode. But nitpick. Did you have any other nitpicks?
Who are you talking about, me
not.
or Jeremy? Oh no, that was
Steven?
Yeah,
you.
any of my nitpicks yet. I was just responding to yours.
So
yeah, I couldn't remember.
So some of my nitpick, I had them in a moment ago, and when we were talking about what we liked and what we didn't like. Damn.
Yeah,
there was some. Yeah, my brain just took a brain fart. I want to know if Picard told Starfleet about Kirk's body on Viridian 3.
Oh yeah, that's something they never addressed at all.
Honestly, yeah, they did. They kind of address it in Star Trek: The Return, which is a book William Shatner wrote, but that's not considered canon. So, no, they never explained it. Oh, nitpick: Geordi gets captured, tortured. There was a deleted scene where Soran started and stopped his heart, like killing him and bringing him back. That's what the nano probe was that Dr. Crusher removed. Why the fuck did they put him back on duty?
You'd be like, hey man, go rest for a while.
Yeah.
If Crusher would have confined him to sickbay or quarters, the Klingons would never have gotten the shield modulation of the Enterprise D. And why the fuck was that displayed openly on a display module? Like, why is it there? Why?
It wouldn't have made the story there, Joe.
Plot convenience. Let me look at the plot screen. All right, it says I'm supposed to display this. Why would I display this? Yeah. But why is it there permanently affixed? Now, maybe if he was okay, Dr. Crusher, she does a lot of stupid things in the show. I love Dr. Crusher, but she does some stupid shit. But like she lets him go back to duty. She's the chief medical officer. Yeah, she could tell him, no, you're going to your quarters, buddy. That's an order. She can do that. She's a doctor, the ship's doctor. But okay, so she pisses that away. Geordi goes back on duty because of the situation. Okay, that happens. Maybe have it where Geordi is running a check on the shields in case there's a confrontation with the Klingon bird of prey. I know it's 20 years old. It's outdated.
The shield modulation.
They are the Federation flagship.
Like while he's doing it, it just happens to be that's when they show up, and it's on the screen because he was doing stuff to it. Yeah, I can see.
Yeah. Yeah, he was looking at it like for a reason. Another thing is they talk about this in the Best of Both Worlds and probably in Q Who. Why didn't they change the shield modulation? They know to do that for the Borg. If they adjusted their shield modulation after the first couple strikes, the Enterprise would have been fine. Granted, plot convenience, they had to destroy the Enterprise to build the Enterprise E. So I mean, I guess I can't complain too much because my favorite
you wouldn't
Enterprise
have
is
the E if they didn't blow up.
But
that sounded worse than
I wouldn't have the E. But yeah, but like, why did that happen? There were some other things too, but my brain just like took a big dump and dumped all the physical memory out of it. I'll try to see if I think of anything else that I wanted to talk about. Those were my two main nitpicks. Data's emotion chip. This is the last thing I nitpick I had. Data's emotion chip, as seen in the Scent parts 1 and 2, and in the episode Brothers from season 4. That chip was specifically designed for Data. Like, specifically for Data, not for lore, not for B4, who hasn't been created canonically yet. Like, he hasn't shown up yet. But that chip was for Data. Like, Noonien Soong especially said, when Lore took the chip, this is not for you. This was designed specifically for Data. How did it overload his positronic matrix? It was specifically designed for him. His.
That's all it is. It's like,
I know.
There's always fuck ups.
Those were like my biggest nitpicks.
Yeah, they don't.
And to me, that's not. I mean, I'm not even going to consider that a continuity error. But like, if the chip was designed specifically for him to have the access to emotions, then he shouldn't have had. You could still have the problem with him adjusting to the emotions, but it fusing to his neural net and can't be removed.
To see
that didn't need to happen, or the overload
specifically. Hey, you did this to a piece of hardware.
Yeah.
When you install it, is there a chance it could screw up? Probably, yeah.
well, you talk about that. There's no telling that wasn't.
It's probably
when they designed it that it wouldn't fuse. I bet you it was designed to do that, and there's nothing telling you that that wasn't the case. Just because the person, was it Geordi, right? They couldn't remove it, or was it the doctor? I can't remember.
Yeah. Dr. Crusher, because Geordi was kidnapped at the time, because Dr. Crusher actually knows a lot about Data too, even though Geordi's the one who mostly does any work that Data requires from damage. But actually the episode was it Measure? Oh no, it was the episode from season 1 where they find Data lore. The person that Data confides that he has an off switch to is Dr. Crusher. That's the person he tells where it is, because Data has an off switch. And so she understands, like, usually in the show they would have her and Geordi kind of doing stuff, but in the movie, in Insurrection, Geordi was the one who fixed him. In this one, it was Dr. Crusher. Who knows who fixed him at the end of First Contact, because he gets fucked up pretty badly cosmetically. But those were my nitpicks. The emotion chip and the other things I mentioned. Jeremy, what were your nitpicks?
And it kind of pissed me off. Anyway, it was that Kirk died. I didn't see a reason why.
Yeah,
he could have passed the torch without him dying and going off his merry old way or whatever. But
I think they could have done it without killing him too. I just don't consider it a nitpick, because I don't like the fact that they killed him, especially because Kirk's story in this movie is like the retired sheriff, living on his farm, getting called back into action one last time. So he gets his horse and he gets his gun and he goes into town to set the town right. And Picard's the new sheriff. So I get that. And that's actually something I read on. Actually, I read that in the trivia. So when I read that, I'm like,
the old sheriff doesn't
that makes a lot of sense
in those type of movies.
I can't disagree with you. Yeah, it's weird because I don't disagree with you, Jeremy, because I didn't want to see Kirk die either. But I also understand.
Things, though, at the beginning you think
why
he died,
it happened,
and then to see him that he didn't, that he was sucked up into that Nexus thing. It's like, well, then he ended up dying anyway. So what the hell, So it's like,
yeah, and that kind of leads me to why did Picard tell them that his body's there? Because that would have changed everything they knew about what happened to Kirk. Like, Spock is still alive and Scotty is still alive at this point in the show's run, in the movie. So don't you think Picard should know that Spock served with Kirk and Scotty, and maybe wanted to tell them,
right?
Hey, I met Captain Kirk. He died.
It's like he's starstruck when he sees Kirk, and he doesn't mention it to anybody else, like, at all. What?
Well, that's one of those plot holes that your other podcast would have been good for, right? Just saying, Steven. Anyway.
Yeah. But I don't disagree with you because I didn't like seeing Kirk die, and that's kind of like the hardest scene to watch. I do like his last line, "Oh my," because it was an ad lib by William Shatner saying that's Kirk's response to actually finally going where he's never been before. But I still would rather. I guess it would have changed a lot of the ending if Kirk had lived. Could that have been rewritten where Kirk didn't have to die? I mean, there could have been a scene with them being picked up and him interacting with like some of the TNG. Well, I mean, at the very least, him interacting with Commander Riker and stuff like that when they're digging through the ready room.
Yeah. It feels like the only reason they killed him off was because they had no idea what to do with him at the end of the movie. Like, they're just like, you're dead, I guess. Sure.
Well, yeah, because you guys were talking about passing of the torch. That obviously made it inevitable, right? But it would have been nice for them.
I mean, he could have retired somewhere, but
I mean,
where? Like,
I mean, they could have had him like they could have had him retire and maybe
like how is Captain
go back because he's from Iowa. Kirk's from Iowa.
A pension. Didn't he die 80 years ago?
Yeah, I kind of read.
Oh, crap.
Anyways, what was Josh's nitpicks? Did Josh have any?
Yeah. Oh, I said
he only had one.
I didn't have much.
That's right.
They made him look super weak. That's pretty much it.
That's right.
He didn't like the fact that Picard was like Soran's bitch throughout the movie.
I mean, granted, Soran looked like he was like very smart and stuff, but also at the same time, it's like you blow up all these the planet and all this shit just to like get into the Nexus. It seems
I could understand if it was hey, I can handle Soran, but I can't handle Soran and do the stuff to stop the thing with the Nexus at the same time. So I'm going to need you to take care of him while I do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because you think that Picard is like a dude that's probably fought a bunch of people. Like, this is after like he did the Borg stuff, right? So he fought the Borg off and did all this shit, and then he goes into this thing, and then he pretty much just gets his ass handed to him by one guy.
Well,
it's like
but if you remember, that whole part
didn't
change. So he still went under that rock to block out the shield and still got shot at. But so he needed the offset
Yeah,
because he couldn't
he
do both of this. He couldn't distract him to get to the platform.
I like how this movie ends with a countdown of the launch of the rocket. Insurrection ends with a countdown to start the Collector. Nemesis ends with a countdown, the Thalaron radiation to destroy the Enterprise. The only movie that doesn't have a countdown countdown is First Contact. It's Picard versus the countdown. It's the final countdown.
Or the triple countdown.
I'm not gonna lie though. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. When I was thinking of the trailer for this, I was gonna like send y'all one, and it was just gonna be the song from Hootie and the Blowfish. Time while you punish me.
Oh my goodness, Joe. My goodness, really trying to go for those songs, man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't use a lot of the song.
Yeah, but they would strike you for even just an inch of that, like just saying like
fair
a line if they
fair
think.
use for review purposes. Yep. parody for parody purposes. You can do that. Thanks, Larry Flynn. Thank you.
And they can't say shit. I mean,
transformative
because you'd have to almost copy it exactly the same. Otherwise, they can't.
Yeah, if I like played like the song from Hootie and the Blowfish, that would be different. But that's what kept like playing through my head when I was thinking of what to write, because this one was a little bit hard because it is about time. Soran was 300-year-old Elorian, and what Steven said earlier, or Jeremy, with the original crew versus the next gen crew, they actually decided, they used Guinan as the connective piece because she was on board the Enterprise. So apparently, after Descent Part 2, she went back to her planet. Then it got wrecked by the Borg, and then she left and almost died and got saved by the Enterprise B. So, and that's I actually just to kind of circle back, I guess, because now we're just rambling about different things. I still like this movie. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. Is it the best Star Trek movie? No. I don't really. I mean, I think if you're going to look at the 3 top Star Trek movies, and this is the ones with this is 1 through, was it been 13 films now? This is 1 through 10.
Kelvin
this isn't
universe,
counting the Kelvin universe. Yeah, we're not counting the Kelvin timeline. We're talking about the ones, the original series movies and the next gen. I honestly, I think the top 3 are First Contact, and this isn't in any order. First Contact, Wrath of Khan, and Star Trek 4.
See, I don't know. I don't remember if I've watched Star Trek 4 or not, so I don't know for sure. But.
And you could actually throw Star Trek 6 in that top 3. You could actually move 4 down 1 and put 6 there. Those I think are the 4 best Star Trek movies. I really don't. I would probably say maybe 4th, or like maybe the halfway point would be Generations, because I definitely think it's better. I like it better than. Well, I definitely like it better than 5, and I definitely like it better than Star Trek. I guess maybe it does have to be lower on the list just because of Star Trek 3, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be. People like to gripe about this movie. I think it's all good fun. I think that the 2 worst movies are 5 in the motion picture, and I think all the rest of them have some sort of even Star Trek 5 to me has a redeeming value, and that's mostly because it's kind of like a guilty pleasure. And the motion picture is the reason why Gene Roddenberry lost so much control of Star Trek afterwards, and probably why Star Trek got better. Because when he was in full control of the first 2 seasons of Star Trek The Next Generation, did you notice how kind of bland it was, except for a few episodes? And look at the motion picture was kind of bland. But then look at Star Trek 2 through 6, and then Next Generation seasons 3 through 7. And after he kind of got taken out of power, the Star Trek was better for it. Star Trek's kind of like George Lucas, or Gene Roddenberry's like,
The
Lucas,
implementation
a really
is a
good
bit-
idea, man.
Yeah.
But implementation, and I don't believe this so much with Lucas as I do with Gene. Gene, like I've read this and seen this in a lot of different places. Gene likes to believe his own hype, so he would take credit for things that he didn't create and aspects of the show that weren't his. And so he started believing his own hype, and I think that was the reason why the first 2 seasons of TNG were kind of like, except for like a couple episodes in season 2 and season 1, and why the motion picture, because they treat the motion picture as it's only been like a year. It's been 18 months, so a year and a half after the end of the 5-year mission. So we're maybe there's 2 more years of the mission after the last episode of the original series. So you're looking at maybe 3.5, 4 years technically, depending on what the chronology says. I'd have to go read it, because that movie takes place in like 2270 something, like 71 or something. And that would put it like, a little bit after the 5-year mission. And who's to say how far they were into the 5-year mission after when the show started. So like it's, you could tell that Gene Roddenberry tooted his own horn a lot, and that's why they're drab. Sorry, my brain just dumped again and froze. I think maybe I need to like upgrade my brain's operating system. It's like running Windows 95 or some shit. MS-DOS. But that's why those are so drab. But I think all the rest of the movies are a lot better. I think a lot of people bitch about them, but I think I get nitpicking. Obviously, we all had nitpicks in this movie, but don't nitpick something so much that you can't enjoy it. Like, if you don't like it, just don't watch the movie. Don't gripe about it. That's why I don't watch the motion picture, because I don't like it, except for the 4-minute scene where they show off the new Enterprise. That's the best scene in the movie. But show them money shots. Oh yeah, Joe, I thought you were watching the motion picture. I saw what I needed to see. Other than that, I like this movie. Since we're doing the Star Trek series, we're not going to do the Rise from the Grave stuff with these. This is more for like older standalone. That's going to be older standalone films. Because let's face it, every time Star Trek tries to remake one of their movies, it's the Wrath of Khan, and it's never as good as the Wrath of Khan. Nemesis was kind of like the Wrath of Khan in a way, and Star Trek Into Darkness. And both of those, even though I really liked Into Darkness, my biggest nitpick with that was it wasn't terrible. My biggest nitpick was that he was Khan, and I think he should have been somebody else. And that was my biggest nitpick. My only really big nitpick was that. Everything else I was fine with. But they tried to, Kirk dying and being brought back by Superblood, that was kind of stupid. But that was also linked to him being Khan, so it's in the same nitpick. But other than that, I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed this film. I don't think it was a bad movie. I think it was really good. I think it was a good introduction to the crew. It could have had maybe higher stakes, but then again, Soran was about to kill over 200 million people just to go fly into an energy ribbon.
So I'm going to kill a bunch of people to do it.
Yeah, I would have killed 200 million people to go to heaven and be with my family again. And one last bit of trivia. I was thinking about this while we're talking. So the science officer on board the Enterprise E, the girl with the red hair that's talking, she's actually was in the movie Aliens, and her character was the inspiration for Tasha Yar in Star Trek The Next Generation. And she actually auditioned to be Tasha Yar, but she didn't get the part, as we know Denise Crosby did. And she was also the foster mom in Terminator 2.
Nice.
So a little bit. That's the last bit of trivia
or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, she knifes. They don't show how she died. I don't think, but she's killing the husband after he's drinking from the milk carton. Yeah, got milk. What did I say about the carton? But that's just something interesting that ties her to the Star Trek franchise. her character was the inspiration for Tasha Yar, which maybe they should have given it to her. I don't know. I like Denise Crosby, but Tasha Yar was a pretty crappy character. But it's not Denise Crosby's fault, and it's the writer's fault. But I like the movie. Any final thoughts from anybody else?
Nope.
All right, so we've already said this many times, but the next film is going to be Star Trek First Contact in a couple weeks. This is just to get what's considered a good Star Trek film to talk about. To me, this movie is about, I don't really think it has a theme, but to me, this movie is about maybe meeting your heroes, and then there's dealing with your past because of the Borg. Like it's supposed to, I guess you could say the theme is Moby Dick. It's Picard's version of Moby Dick, because how far is he willing to go to stop the Borg? But it's, to me, the message, it's like only a couple scenes. I mean, I guess you could say
we'll talk about it then.
Actually, is the theme is more of a Moby Dick scene for Picard, but yeah, but we'll talk more about it then. And then meeting your heroes, because everyone on Earth is like basically trying to slob Zefram Cochrane's knob, and he hates it. Then after that, we're going to talk about the last Star Trek film we're going to talk about, unless I get a wild hair and we do another one. But then it's going to be Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, which was
probably,
I think, the lowest grossing Star Trek movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it was. But those are the next two. So anyway, for Sci-Fi Graveyard, I'm Joseph, and for Steven, thank you for joining us. I hope you're going to be here for First Contact. And for Josh
out,
and Jeremy,
everyone.
we want to wish you all a good night, and we will catch you next time.
Peace out.
Bye.
We'd like to thank you for listening to this week's episode of Sci-Fi Graveyard. If you like what you hear, please check out some of our other podcasts as hosted by the Heart of Geek. That is Morbid Instinct, Wrestling with the Willies, and Screen Creeps. You can follow us on social media. We are at The Heart of Geek on Twitter, The Heart of Geek on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And when we do stream, it's not very often. We are just Heart of Geek. Again, thank you for listening, and we hope to catch you next time.